Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us. We appreciate it. We especially appreciate Reverend Henderson and the Family Life Center for providing this great facility. Those of you who are here are obviously interested participants in the political process and in the future and government of your city. So you have no doubt observed a council meeting or seen a council agenda. 2 times a month, we look at a lot of detail, immediate matters, resolutions, votes that involve money, votes that involve ordinances and laws. But what we do with those many myriad items on our calendar actually determines what our city will look like, will be years into the future. But every 2 years, I feel like I'm sitting on the floor, you guys, hold on. I really do, it's so low. Every 2 years, your city council, along with staff, takes a longer view. Starting in 2016, we spent some time describing what Fredericksburg should look like in the year 2036. We took a good, hard look at what we would keep and what we might not keep, and our wish list. And we came up with a vision of Fredericksburg in 2036 that describes what we call future states. And you have a copy here, and it is behind us. These, the state of each of the important parts of our city life. And we will go through them tonight. But that vision in those specific future states have remained more or less constant until this year when we added another one. We took that vision, and with the staff, figured out how to live the vision by creating priorities. Our staff assigned themselves to these priorities and set out specific tasks to accomplish them. Each quarter of the year, the council receives reports from our staff on their progress. It is truly a remarkable program. And annually, or biannually, we get a more extensive report on progress, where we are and where we need to be. I call this a vision with legs. Those of you who are involved in the community and in your organizations have probably taken part in a visioning exercise that wound up to be words on a piece of paper sitting on a desk or a shelf somewhere. This is not. This is a living and working document that informs the council, that informs our staff when we make decisions and when we decide how to spend your money. We review and update it every 2 years, because every 2 years there's an election. It is always in its most updated form with the 30-some priorities on our website. And currently there is a portal for you to comment or ask questions on our website. Tonight we'd like to share with you our most recent updates to the vision statement and our priorities. And we will welcome your questions. I'll ask you to hold them until each one of us finishes. And I promise we will not be lengthy. I have with us tonight Councilor Devine, Vice Mayor Fry, Councilor Duffy, and Councilor Graham, along with our city manager, Mr. Baruti, our city manager, Mr. Whitley, our director of planning, Mr. Johnston. I think I saw HR, and I see Public Works back there, Ms. Bayer. Did I miss anybody? So you got a lot of expertise, more out there than up here, but you've got a lot of expertise here tonight. So we will begin by asking Vice Mayor Fry to talk about our newest priority in your vision statement, where we all come together. Vice Mayor Fry?
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. And for the public, we had a very interesting conversation coming up with this. Due to COVID, of course, we were out of sync with each other in person until our actual retreat. And when we all got together, pretty much it says it where we all come together. We all came together, and everything that happened last year, you know, in the world, it brought a lot of attention, you know, to situations and how to handle situations, and the conversation about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And for us as a council, we were already on that boat. We've been on that boat for a while. We created a strong dialogue in the community in regards to the slave block conversation years ago. And we brought a lot of people together in the city. With this going on, creating this as a priority, like I said, it's something that we already been working on, but this shows how strongly, you know, we believe as a council how we need to go forward in the city for the future. And pretty much if you turn on the news, we are setting a tone in the city of Fredericksburg about this same topic here itself. So I'll leave that right there. Our number one was hire a DII officer. Number two was develop FY23 budget for the office. And the Equity Task Force and the DEI will meet monthly to develop a roadmap that works for the city, including the racial equity plan. It kind of explains itself, and I'll leave that right there, Mayor Greenlaw.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor Fry. I'm sorry. I just realized that was off. I'll take employment epicenter. Obviously, creating good, family-sustaining jobs is one of the most important jobs of any community to grow responsibly. And that is a focus for us, to bring family-sustaining careers to the city. Our Director of Economic Development and Tourism is the champion of this particular section. We are hoping to increase our taxable commercial and industrial real estate tax base by at least $50 million. That is a goal. We are working with our Economic Development Authority on a strategic plan. They work actively with our businesses and have loan programs and assistance to assist our existing businesses who are vitally important to us. We have as a goal to attract at least 5 businesses to our Creative Maker District. One of our goals in this particular area is to complete our area plans. We have small area plans. You may be familiar with them. The ones that we need to complete now are number 10, which is South Lafayette and Route 1, and number 8, which is Mayfield, and area number 5, which is the University College Heights and the central part of Route 1. These area plans are, I think, a very important way for us to grow responsibly, because they take a look at an area of the areas of the city that are chosen not just for their geographic proximity to, but also for their cultural and business, the synergy that that particular area has. And what we do with these plans is find a way to protect, preserve, and again, grow responsibly a specific section of town. So we're taking a look. It's the zoning right, or the ordinance is correct, to our neighborhoods. Our neighborhoods are what give this city its character. They are our biggest attraction. And it's economic attraction because businesses go, one, where they have the talent, and two, where the talent wants to live. So that's, I will really be pleased to see us complete these small area plans. We are, under this particular category, we have a parking advisory committee, and we are working to better manage our parking supply and make better use of multimodal transportation and better use of technology, as in parking apps. So when you drive across Chatham Bridge, which we will soon, thank goodness, when you drive across the Chatham Bridge, you don't come to a dead end and say, whoops. You have an idea. I go this way for a garage, I go that way for a parking lot. And another priority under this is to create a top-tier tourism effort. And we are well on our way with that because we have used the advice of our outside consultants to hire an assistant director of tourism, and we're very happy to have MC Morris join our staff for that effort. And we're working hard on events and event planning and utilizing the stadium to our biggest advantage as well. We also are engaging in efforts to have our business community reflect the diversity of Fredericksburg. The EDA had a whole FXBG diverse FXBG. I'm sure you saw the signs around. We have worked to engage the minority-owned businesses to get the word out as far as the EDA's loan program is concerned, Invest FXBG, and basically promoting our businesses and that reflect the diversity that is the city of Fredericksburg. Yes, Vice Mayor Fry wants to add something here that's related.
It's related based on where we all come together and everything you just spoke about. And it's part of the priority for number one. So thank you for letting me join in with you on this one, which is in the realms of diversity. It's telling a more complete history of our city of Fredericksburg. And that's something that the council takes very, very, very seriously. For example, at the corner of Wolf and Princess Anne Street, you'll see the new markers there for the Freedom Riders and the Green Book. There's also at the end of Canal Street at Caroline Street, the story of the DeBaptiste family, John DeBaptiste, and the history of crossing over the Rappahannock River, along with the slave block itself being located in the Fredericksburg Area Museum now, which we just solidified recently this year after a bunch of back and forth, kind of a tug of war. We have the slave block, and the actual slave block is in the Fredericksburg Area Museum, and now we're working on telling the story of it. So I just wanted to add that in there, and thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, just the vision that the council has and how far we've come. And it's actually showing now where you can kind of step out into the city now and see a lot of the things we've been working on. So thank you, Mayor Greenlaw.
Thank you. I am going to call on now Councilor Devine to talk about building community through cultural vibrancy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you all for being here tonight. I know with a rainy night, it's easy to just, I don't know, crawl into the blankets and go to bed early, but so thanks for being here tonight. Really do appreciate it. And again, thanks to our staff who have worked so hard to get us to this point, and they'll be the ones really following through on a day-to-day level. So building community through cultural vibrancy, what does that mean? Well, it means partnerships, and we are going to, we hope to support a partnership with the University of Mary Washington on a potential theater partnership, a community theater partnership, and potentially other partnerships as the university builds out, and to see what we can do to blend together a little bit more. You know, we have this great city, we have this great university, and it would be nice to blend things a little more at times and really take advantage of some of the opportunities there. Around the city, you notice our fantastic parks. We have wonderful parks, and we are in the process of hiring a new Parks and Rec director. The previous director just recently retired. So the parks are in great shape because of the Parks and Rec staff, but we also look forward to the new director, you know, putting together or finishing like our strategic plan and carrying it out. Our parks are becoming a little more robust with activities these days. You know, outside is where we can all be together these days. And we've also worked on making sure they're accessible to all. And so between the physical upgrades and programming upgrades, we hope that everybody's getting out and really enjoying those parks.
Councilor Graham, can you talk about learning as a way of life?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For learning as a way of life, what we're thinking about here is how can we best educate our children at every stage of development. Now, we're not the school board. We don't have control over the programming. We don't have control over which teachers teach which classrooms. But we do have control over a few aspects of what goes on at the schools. And those aspects, I'm very proud of the progress that we've started to make. Our priority 10, to jointly develop with the school board a school capacity plan and to begin implementation. This is something that I've personally been advocating for now for over a couple years, and I'm really, really pleased to see that we've made some serious progress. The school board, actually, we just spoke with them this past Tuesday at a joint work session, and the school board has settled on their idea of a new middle school in order to help not just alleviate the congestion that we see in the elementary schools, but to have some long-range planning for the growth that is inevitably going to be coming to Fredericksburg in the next 5, 10, and 15 years. So they've started to go down that path of what does it look like, who do they need to work with, and put a real firm plan together so that they can start to put together a cost estimate, and we can take that cost estimate back out to the community and have a good conversation about what that's going to mean, and have a very honest conversation about what we're willing to invest in our children here in Fredericksburg. And not just at the lower levels, but at the higher levels, we want to make sure that as children leave the Fredericksburg City Schools, that they are either prepared to go to college or that they are prepared to enter the workforce. And it's that latter part, that workforce development piece, that I'm really interested to see us push forward. And we have that as one of our priorities to ensure that we have a fantastic space for these children in order to gain the kind of experience and know-how that they would need to step into the workforce the minute after they get that diploma from James Monroe. Right now, we're exploring a variety of opportunities for the type of space that would allow us to partner with Germana, with private sector partners, perhaps Mary Washington, just a whole just slew of different partners in one space in order to collaborate and provide more opportunities to our high school students than we've ever had before. so many people are starting to recognize now that there's not just one path. College does not have to be the only option after high school in order to have a fulfilling and lucrative career. We're seeing a lot more people turning to trades. We want to make sure that the students in Fredericksburg have those opportunities as well. So no matter what path you think that is the right path for you, we want to make sure that the Fredericksburg City Public Schools has what it needs in order to provide those opportunities.
Councilor Duffy, distinct and linked neighborhoods.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I want to extend my great thanks to have all residents here and staff who have done so much to work on these vision statements that we have. And I just want to explain a little bit more on the structure of this. We have these future states that we all envision to occur in the future, and we have within those visions specific priorities that we're focusing on. And under each priority, we have a series of tasks that staff work on to complete those priorities and ultimately, as the mayor said, live that vision. And then they go down to kind of track what percentage of that that priority is completed. And so we have a sense of how far we are toward that goal. And as the mayor said, having that vision with legs is really impressive. Talking about distinct and linked neighborhoods, what we're talking about is the fact that our neighborhoods all have a different kind of vibe, a different feeling, a different setting. They have a distinct identity, but they're also linked socially and culturally, but also physically. And we want them to be even better linked physically by promoting multimodal ways that we can connect our neighborhoods. And so one of the priorities deals with promoting connectivity between our neighborhoods. So we're not just a car-reliant city, that we can improve bicycle and walking access from neighborhood to neighborhood. And so that's one of the priorities that we're focusing on, that includes linking areas as far away as Mott's Reservoir all the way down to the trails going to Dixon Park, all along the river. We're also focusing on one of our priorities to identify potential conflicts that exist with new development and how it might impact the trail system. And so how can we anticipate some of those problems and have ways to reduce those conflicts. Another priority is implementing neighborhood improvement plans. A lot of our infrastructure, a lot of different aspects of our neighborhoods are aging along with the neighborhoods. And so the city is developing a plan where neighborhoods and communities can apply to the city for improvement projects that we will fund and that we will identify what we'll fund through a system of application and review and develop a matrix for assessing those applications. And so these things might be lighting in the neighborhood, they might be improving trails or access, it could be all kinds of things. Again, to focus on improving the quality of our neighborhoods. One thing that's very much related to that is a priority that focuses on really trying to identify in specific neighborhoods what are the challenges to livability in that neighborhood. What are some of the things that we could do through amendments to the UDO or city policies that would make neighborhoods more livable, a more desirable place to be. And so we are looking to those small area plans that themselves create a vision of how neighborhoods can change and grow and develop, and try to translate those visions into specific ordinances and policies to kind of live out that idea for the small areas. And finally, I will talk about a new priority we included in this year's visions is addressing the CSX tanker storage on the railroad along the city boundary. And, you know, this is next to the Mayfield neighborhood, but it's clear that the storage of materials on that railroad are an issue for all of us. We all live close enough to that area that it needs to be a priority for the entire city. And so the city council, city staff are working hard to try to resolve this nagging issue of the storage of tanker cars, either empty or full, with hazardous materials. And I want to applaud staff and council members who have really pushed this. We've had meetings and communications about evacuation plans. We have brought in our federal representatives to help us in developing a plan to relocate the storage, whether temporary or long-term, of those CSX tanker cars. It just really doesn't have a place so close to our city. And that is what I have for you in distinct and linked neighborhoods. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Duffy. Councilor Graham, cutting-edge transportation solutions. Big topic.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is another one that is near and dear to my heart. And with the cutting-edge transportation solutions, what we're looking for here is a way to expand and give more choices to residents beyond single occupancy auto travel, to expand choices to bicycles, to pedestrian, to bus, to expand train services, many different choices as we can provide here in the city. We've made some major strides over the past few years, but there's a lot more that we can do. And so to that effect, we are actually working on a new transit strategic plan with Fred Transit. They are going to be exploring an entirely new way of what is possible. It could expand as far as their route system. It could expand as far as the frequency of their rides. Right now, the sky's the limit. We want to understand what it will take to make Fred Transit a true 21st century option for everyone here in the city of Fredericksburg. And if we can get that better transit option, we can also then start to look at transit-oriented development. And what does that look like? If we can start to shape development around transit itself. And when we can do that, we give people more choices. We give people more choices, not just of how they choose to get around the city, but of where they can live and where they can work. And it makes Fredericksburg a more attractive place for people to live, work, and play. And so I'm very excited to see, how we take this over the next couple years. Right now, we've got this planned, pretty early on within our, I'd say within our 3-year priorities. And alongside that, I spoke of trains at the very beginning. The VRE, I think a lot of people here know that having the VRE station here has been an absolute godsend for the city of Fredericksburg, and the ability to maximize that train station is something else that we continue to look at. And we also want to improve that train station. It's great that it's here, but we can make that train station better, and we can make it a real hub for not just development of residential, but also for commercial as well. And so we've got some great opportunities coming up around the multimodal transportation options, but we also have some opportunities to improve the gateways into the city. As you come into Fredericksburg, we know this is a wonderful place to be, and we know that there are so many different wonderful places to visit, to go out for a meal, but when you come in, we want to make sure that you know that you are in the city of Fredericksburg. And so for that, we've got a gateway improvement study that's going to be kicking off so that we can create that kind of experience for people as they're entering the city so that they know this is Fredericksburg, and here in Fredericksburg, we really want to put the effort in to make everyone feel welcome and to make sure that everyone has a good experience here in the city. Thank you.
The next vision is the proven leader in historic preservation. I should be reading the entire description, perhaps. Recognizing the importance of our historic character from the early Indian settlements through the Industrial Revolution, we are stewards of our nation's treasures. Working with our National Park Service, other preservation partners, and the development community, we continue to tell the story of our nation's history by preserving our historic properties and promoting compatible reuse and redevelopment. With our enhanced focus on archaeology, the city continues to be a leader in historic preservation. That is definitely a goal, and priority number 19 is to continue to build on this community's capitalizing on its historic assets and embracing its physical and cultural diversity and diverse perspectives on the past, which again is unique to us. Priority number 19, that was priority number 19. Priority number, well, to reach that priority, I take that back, we have, one of our goals is to create a standing advisory group. And let me find myself here. A standing advisory group. We have now a historic resources officer in our planning department, and we look to pull together citizens, property owners, and those with expertise, experts of various kinds, for a standing advisory group that can assist us in our progress toward making sure that we preserve, protect, and properly maintain our historic assets. And so one of our goals is to strengthen our property maintenance, inspection, enforcement, and staffing, and hire a property maintenance officer. We would like to expand online resources for our ARB applicants and our historic property owners. And we have recently worked on our historic preservation plan and updated some of our processes in that respect. One of our priorities, priority number 20, is to determine what to do with the historic properties that the city owns, specifically Renwick and the Mary Washington Lodge. Near and dear to B. Palucci's heart is Renwick. I do know that. And we are going to approach a process for the Renwick Courthouse and set up an RPI to accept proposals for the next step for that building. Let's see how time. We also have as priority number 21 to enhance our incentives and our non-regulatory tools for historic preservation. We have a real estate tax exemption program, and we would like to expand that, and we would like to conduct outreach to make the public more aware of it and have more people take advantage of it to assist in the proper maintenance and preservation of our historic properties. We also have as a item under priority number 21 to create an economic impact study to quantify the value of historic preservation in Fredericksburg. I'm not sure we've ever really quantified it, and it does have a very specific value. And to provide development, this will help us in creating incentives, again, to reach our goals in preserving our more valuable historic properties. Councilor Devine, would you talk to us about clean and green environment?
Sure. Thank you again, Mayor. I feel like in the past, few years at least, we're starting to realize that we need to be better stewards of our planet, of our city, and to that end, the city has committed to be 100% renewable energy by 2035. That's an ambitious goal, but it's one we can meet, and we're going to meet it with some very specific steps by hiring a sustainability coordinator and developing a sustainability plan. So we don't have all of those pieces together yet, but we are very seriously working on them. We also hope to promote just more of an awareness of what residents can do, and by doing things like increased composting, whether it's expanding compost opportunities through the R Board or backyard composting, which is something that many people can do just on their own. I compost, it's not that hard and easy to do, just right in your backyard. Again, a lot of the things that we're looking at are not just, maybe they're city supported or enhanced, but many of the things are things that the residents can take on as well. We're also, we just passed on first read Tuesday night, a plastic bag tax that will go into effect, hopefully. It's going to be up for second read later this month, and then in January we hope to limit the use of plastic bags in the city. And once again, that is something that residents can do every day. Start now if you haven't started yet, but using your reusable bags or no bags. Many stores will automatically bag 1 or 2 items when we can carry them to our cars or bikes and go home with them. So again, city staff is looking at really giving more opportunities to residents to get involved in just their everyday lives, being more aware of what they can do. The city and the city schools are also looking to improve the environmental sustainability of the public facilities. We've got city buildings, we've got school buildings, and all of them can be improved as far as their sustainability and usefulness. So we're doing an audit now, see where we are, and again, that's in the works, but looking to move forward on some of the opportunities there. And that will include even things like our fleets, our school buses, our police cars, whether we can move towards more other sources of, not fuel, but electric or something else other than what we're doing now. There are also things that we just have to do to meet state requirements, and some of those are to meet our MS4 goals and mitigate flooding. We have to enhance what we are or construct what we're calling Pond D to retain retain the stormwater so that we can meet those mandates. We've got projects in Idlewild for implementing stream restoration projects. We are also making sure that we take good care to monitor, maintain, and improve our canal. All of those are important factors when we're talking about our environment and our sustainability. And again, most of it really is just about being good stewards, and I think we're really moving in that direction. Thanks.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Fry, we began with you. We're going to end with you with our last vision statement on public services, truly the backbone of the community.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. And For the last part here, we have public services, and priority number 27 is complete the assessment of our city's water sewer system and determine the capital improvements necessary to improve the system. And for those that don't know, in the city, what we have to deal with is the fact that we do a lot of this in partnership with Spotsylvania County. And we have to make adjustments according to what they are doing and what our needs are in the city. So a lot of times things are beyond our control, and we just try to figure out the best way, to move forward. And it's everything that's underneath of us in the city, which is, it's your water is coming from the ground, it's coming to us, and then we have our sewage. And so that's a serious investment that the city has to make on a continuous basis. And like I said, we don't control how it goes. We try to stay ahead of it as much as we can. Number 28 is reduce chronic unsheltered homelessness. And we just recently were talking about federal funds and how to help and how to make sure that we make sure the funds go where they need to go to in the city. And we do a great job now, in my opinion. We do a lot, and we could always do more. And we work with the partners in the city to try to make sure that all the funds go where they need to go. And we have a lot of, I'm looking at Mr. Zamas right here, and just the passion of people like yourself who get to bring, a different perspective besides us looking at paperwork. So appreciate people like yourself, who get to tell us, hey, maybe it should go like this. And, when you talk, we listen. So also implementing the new ERP software, which is it's a one-stop shop for the city and for billing and all of our computer, everything that goes through the system. And so for us, it makes everything under one roof in a sense, and it's more controlled, and the billing cycle, everything that we deal with in the city runs through that system. And I wish Mr. Kelly was here right now, but number 30 is plan and construct a new fire superstation and address the other fire safety needs, which is huge. As we grow in the city, as if you look around, there's development going on somewhere. It's happening in little pieces, but to address fire safety and the need of a fire station, that it's imperative that we take care of that. So number 31, pursue a strategy and ensure the Fredericksburg Police Department continued commitment to professionalism, 21st century policing practices, and the highest level of community trust. And we have a highly accredited police department. And I will say our police department, with the community policing and everything, we have a great police department. We have police officers that care. And I'll give one example of a city program, the Midnight Madness program, and a lot of people don't see that program. But it's a Friday night program. It's a council initiative, and it's a program that gets our kids, you can say off the streets, or you can say an alternative on Friday nights. And we run that program every Friday night during the summertime when school is out. And it's amazing if you could see the interaction from our Fredericksburg Police Department with, we've got police officers. Not everybody plays basketball, and we have police officers that have been challenged to games, and it's amazing to watch when you have somebody, but they do it for the kids, and I believe that that shows the commitment from our city and our police department, because when you can have that interaction, that's positive. It changes. Let me say, it changes the perspective of what we see on TV sometimes, and it's all about building community. Number 32, advanced employee attraction and development and retention efforts. And we in the city ourselves, we want to be the place to be. And separate from this, what Mayor Greenland was speaking of earlier, just what we try to do. One project that we tried to get was the VA clinic, and I just wanted to just say that real. We had countless meetings, and we tried our best to get the clinic on city property to create those jobs, even though the effect is going to be the same. It's not in the city. And also for us, make sure that we do everything to keep our employees in the city of Fredericksburg. We don't want to keep training up our employees and losing them up north where they're sitting on 95, to make a couple more dollars. So that's one thing in the city that we've been showing, that we've been trying our best to keep, our employees here in the city of Fredericksburg to make them stay. So that's all I have, Mayor Greenlaw, and thank you to the public for listening.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Fry. We've run you through 32 very significant items. I'm sure you remember every single one of them, but truthfully, these priorities with their goals and objectives set underneath them vary from something very specific, like implementing new software, to something quite broad, as Vice Mayor Fryer was talking about, advancing our employee attraction and development and retention assets, assuring that we maintain our historic properties, or addressing challenges like moving toward our vision of 100% renewable energy. Some of these challenges are quite large and quite broad. Some of them are quite specific, but they're all advancing us to be the city we want to be. So now it's time for us to hear from you if you have questions. Again, we appreciate so much you're willing to spend a rainy evening with us, and your interest in the community, obviously, and we welcome hearing from you. There's a portal on the website where you can make comments when you've had time to think about this or look at it. All of this information, what we were reading from was a 3-year priority task list. The Gantt chart shows that Gantt chart gets updated. This 3-year priority task list gets updated, and that is always available on our website, so you can see what we're working on and how well we're doing, and what percentage of completion for a number of things. I have found this to be enormously helpful, to be able to focus. It is so easy to say, do we have a question? Yes. I missed it. I'm sorry, Renee. Mr. Rodriguez?
I got a couple questions, but I'll ask one and other people will see if they have questions too. But I'm just trying to find out what the council's rationale for making heated parking downtown Tyler. I read that it's in the literature, and one person attended a parking advisory committee that was told to investigate more in depth heated parking. I thought the council had already discussed that. I know Main Street and a couple others are opposed to that right now. I'm just trying to understand why it keeps coming back up as a priority.
Metered parking is not listed as a priority. It has been discussed, I think, in the Parking Advisory Committee, but it has not been set as a priority by the council or the staff. It's periodically discussed because it's something that, when you start looking at parking, that's one of your options. But that is, if you want to know where it is, it's in the Parking Advisory Committee. It has not come forward to the council as a recommendation.
I know we had a meeting, parking advisory committee, which I sit on, two council members were there on Monday, but that was expressly something that we were asked to get to look at, even though in the past 6 months, we had the planning, parking advisory committee had already discussed it, and said that we didn't even want to look at re-examining that until after COVID was over, because of the impact of downtown businesses already with that. But it was brought back up again as something that was a city priority. I just want to get clarification.
Well, it is not one of these priorities. That I can tell you. It's the best answer I can give you. Yes.
Hi, my name is Brian Stelmata. I live here in the city. I'm also the HOA president here at the Bragg Hill Central Park Townhomes.
Uh-huh.
And I guess looking at your guys' priorities, priority 16, discussing neighborhood livability, quality of life, et cetera, and then scroll on down to priority 31, which is a strategy for activities, commission professionalism, 21st century policing. I guess, you know, when I read these words, especially in priority 31, 21st century policing, these are all great words on paper. They're all the words of the day.
Mhm.
And it's supposed to address this issue of, you know, equity and equality of the law. But I would hope that, you know, from this perspective of the tenants who live up in the Bragg Hill area, that we're not forgetting the basic principles of policing and enforcing the basics. I mean, we've seen over the last 2 years this large increase of a shooting across the street yesterday in 95, 2 shootings in front of the 7-Eleven, multiple other incidences of guns and knives in other parts of the city. But, you know, I feel like we've taken a big step back, especially up here in this neighborhood, when it comes to policing in that general. So I would hope that at some point, you know, when I read these words, pursue a strategy, again, they're all great words, but where is the core competency in the police forcing of just doing basic policing, enforcing laws, drugs, violence, things of that nature, and making sure that, you know, again, that goes back to that idea of quality of life living in that neighborhood. And I don't think the people in that neighborhood would probably feel we're making any strides in that area, you know, based on, you know, I don't live in the neighborhood, but I own properties. A lot of my tenants have expressed these things to me, and it's just kind of one of these ideas. Unfortunately, they're not here tonight, but, you know, it's something I hope we would not forget, just to make these great words on paper of 21st century policing. What does that mean? You know, we need to still do the basics.
Yeah.
Provide a safe place for a lot of people to live.
That breaks down to police presence, and that breaks down to community police officers, which it has been a focus of our Chief Layton.
I know Councilman Fry mentioned the CPO program, and just from my own experience, I feel like the CPO program has gone in a completely terrible direction over the last few years, ever since the federal funding, when we've got 2 police officers a year that are CPOs, and this federally funded grant, ever since the city had to pick up those funds, the program has been reshuffled, reevaluated, redone this, and every time we're just shuffling the deck
Thank you. Thank you.
Excuse me, just to comment on, for the Bragg Hill, when we look at neighborhoods, there's no neglect in, you know, trying to have the same type of neighborhood, you know. I always defend Bragg Hill and always, because Bragg Hill has two names, by the way. Bragg Hill is Bragg Hill when there's violence, and the Central Park townhomes when it's, you know, flowers and mulch and great things. And I've seen that, if I'm not mistaken, even on our release of the recent shooting, it was Bragg Hill. And so it's portrayed in two different ways. And I know that the policing on Fall Hill, that it's a unit of everything, all the apartment complexes. And also, Bragg Hill is also it's also private property. And I also know that there's more or less police presence based on phone calls. And also I know that you guys, I'm pretty sure you still have, you have your own security. You have off-duty, having off-duty officers or sheriff department guys for a while. And so even with the complaints, and I mean, it happens all over the city, and I'm definitely not happy about it, what happens. But also, that's one of the reasons of the Fredericksburg gun give back. And I try to use my platform to talk about gun violence. There have been situations that happen in Bragg Hill that I've showed up on the spot 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to help with the situation. So it's not that any area of the city is neglected. It's just things keep happening, and nobody's proud of it. I'm not proud. And shootings, anybody on this council, mainly in this city, will tell you I don't take shootings and all of that lightly at all. So that's why on a community base, things like the Fredericksburg, the gun give back, it's a one of its kind, and it's a volunteer basis, and it's set to help eliminate some of these things. We can't eliminate everything, but that's set to help eliminate some of these things on a what-if basis, because we don't know when a crime is going to happen. So, but I'm happy, you know, to talk to you, and if I can help out any way more to do more, I'm available. So thank you.
Thank you. I see the gentleman in the back, and I see the lady over here. The gentleman in the back.
I'm pretty well, I'm visiting Huntsville in the heart of Bragg Hill. I'm at ground zero, day in and out, seeing the uptick of crime. Actually, one of the reasons why I put a business, barbershop in the Bragg Hill community for the very reason that a gentleman like you mentioned, Mr. Fry has mentioned about the crime. We all know about Bragg Hill. It does have a bad reputation. When I opened back in
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing this up and, it's actions, not words, 100% agree. And one of the actions that Chief Layton actually brought to council recently is the creation of a pilot program around how police will handle calls that are more about mental health than about a crime being committed, and if someone's having a mental health emergency. One of the problems that several officers had told me about back when I had visited the police department during roll call was the amount of time that it took them to respond to calls that involved a mental health crisis. There was a law passed by the General Assembly a few years ago about the requirements of police officers handling mental health crisis issues. And in some cases, it would take a police officer away from their beat for as many as 12 hours at a time, because they would have to be there with someone as they were admitted into a hospital. And when that happens, yes, we're going to have downstream impacts. We're not going to be able to respond to some of the issues that you brought up or to some of the issues that Mr. Stomach brought up. We were not going to have the police force that we are planning on having because they have been taken away on these other needs. And the General Assembly is trying to work on that to try to tweak that law so it won't be as big of a problem. But what Chief Layton is doing in the meantime, he's trying to be proactive about it. And now he's going to be working with the Rappahannock Area Community Services Board so that they will have the professionals who are trained in dealing with mental health crisis as partners with the police department. And so the goal is hopefully that as this pilot develops and we learn lessons from working together, that the police officers will be able to focus on the basics of policing. They'll be able to focus on the community safety, to reach out to communities and work with them on public safety and not have to handle so many issues that they are not as specifically trained for as someone who is trained for mental health crisis in particular. And so that's one way that our police department is trying to get ahead of this issue. That's also part of that 21st century policing, that it's part of that buzzword, but these are the actions that are behind it. It's proven successful in other cities in America, and I'm really interested to see how it's going to be handled here in Fredericksburg, and hopefully we'll have some good news to report back as that pilot really gets launched. So thank you for bringing that up.
Mayor, can I speak to this too?
Yes.
Just really quickly. Thank you. I want to commend the questions and comments from the gentleman. There's no doubt that the pandemic has exacerbated some of the struggles that people face. And in my position, having the ability to work with and know families throughout the city, I see that. Knowing all the kids and recent graduates of our schools. And I think that, well, first of all, when I think of our police department, I think of it's a nationally certified organization, one that goes above and beyond to try to be ready to meet the needs of its citizens. But I also think of people who are dedicated to our city's youth. And it's important that we continue to give the police department the resources to do that effectively. I have had conversations with Mr. Washington, who organizes Peace in the Paint, to try to get a winter program, not just do it in the summer. So we're working with the schools to try to develop a program that can coincide with the holidays to support our youth. And so there's lots of things that need to be done, and we have a giving community that wants to do that. And so, I look forward to continue to do the kinds of efforts that we know pay off. But I specifically want to commend you two, who are committed to improving our communities and willing to do the work. And we will certainly be in touch with both of you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I want to say this is why we're here. Thank you for speaking up. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Ketron, is that right?
students
Mm.
don't have jobs or don't have a place to live over to a college that can actually train them to have a job that is not only sustainable for themselves, but can actually sustain the family.
Mhm.
Split great income solution. I don't find that we're using them correctly. We have an entire population that needs IDs and things like that. Making sure that they have that transportation to
Mhm.
the actual solution of them having a job and a job that actually supports living in our community in a way that works, I think is a better thing. The last thing is, I talked to the police department already about this, is coming up with a secret society for offenders. When we have students or young kids or even adults that commit crime, it's really easy to look at yourself as being a criminal. You start to take on a persona that's not necessarily good. I talked to the police department about coming up with a secret society where these kids get together at night and go and do good deeds in the community. They pick out a house that needs a fence. They pick out a house that needs the side of the house painted. And in secret, they go out and do great deeds. In the past, a long time ago, in the 1800s, they had groups like this. They worked extremely well. They were, they changed the persona of who those people were, of how they looked at themselves, and how they saw their role in the community. And I think it would be an incredibly mind-blowing experience for people who are starting to see themselves as the shooter or the gangbanger or whoever it is, to go out and actually court mandated be in this secret society where they literally take out the cloak and dagger and become the heroes of our society, instead of the ones that we're having to
Thank you. Ms. Devine, you had your hand up. And I will say this, Germanna has a lot of assistance for students, and I'm sure you could work with them on working out some transportation. That's an excellent thought. Ms. Devine?
Would you like to switch places right now? You had some great ideas, and I really appreciate you bringing them up. Some I've heard a little bit about before, some I've never heard about before. So thank you for that. I guess I just wanted to say we are looking at, we talked about workforce development, and that is something that we are very serious about.
Really into
Partnering with Germanna and the city schools. Well, and we talked about that too. We are hoping our Fred Transit can be expanded, and again, talked about, adding hours, adding routes, adding more accessibility to places. So some of those things are things that we are looking at because we know that there are transportation issues, and we know that there's opportunities that people need to get to or that we need to bring to them. And so we're very strongly looking at trying to bring some more of those workforce programs to the city. That is something that we have been spending a lot of time on. It's just we're not there yet, but we're working on it. I guess I just wanted to also say, I love your idea about the community gardens. And sir, I don't know your name in the back either, but yes, thank you so much. And all I want to say is, I don't want this to, I want to make sure I say this the right way. Some of your ideas, I think the beauty of them comes from within the community. And I don't know that everything needs to come from the city down. And I guess what I loved hearing is some of these things that you don't necessarily need us, maybe you need our support, maybe you need a little bit from us, but so many things, organically can come from community members and neighborhoods, and it doesn't mean that we have to be in charge. We don't have all the ideas, we don't have all the answers. And so when we talk about community gardens, that doesn't necessarily need to be a program that the city runs. Nor do some of the other community things. So thank you for being such an active part of the community. You had tons of great ideas, and I'm certainly not going to address them all, but I just want to say that, that's what makes us such a great place to live, is it shouldn't be all from us. So, it really does take a village, to use that overused phrase. Thanks.
Yeah, Chuck.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Wanted to say thank you. And the Secret Society, I never heard of that, and that's pretty interesting. because a lot of troubled youth, they walk around with that label, and I'm just in general. And it is tough because everybody knows. And in the small community, everybody really knows. And they're always going to be pointed to like, oh, that's that kid that, you know, it could have been something small and mischievous, but they get that label. So I agree. Mr. Knoll, I wanted to say to you, I remember when you were opening up your shop, and I remember, and it's good for me to see that you still had that same passion for why you came here, because you could have took a barbershop and put it anywhere. And I want you to also know that the difference really is you. You are the difference, and you're making a difference. And I know you can feel defeated sometimes based on what's going on. But also imagine if you were not there. And I know you deal with these obstacles, and I know we've talked about them. But I do want to say that, and the fact that you, like, for instance, I know where to find you at Friday night at a football game. You're going to be near the end zone. And see, all of those kids, you know, all of those kids, they know where you are. And so you are the difference maker. And you give them something positive, because something else could be going on behind your shop, right? And you're the difference. So I want you to know that. And I know your passion based on, you know, our conversations. I know your passion. And of course, whatever ideas you have that we can help with, of course, just throw it at us, and you know, we can go from there. But not really but let me say, and you are the difference. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people in this area will agree. Like, you have a safe haven, you know, just by having your shop and you being a positive person. That's a safe haven for a lot of kids, you know. And I can only imagine how many stops you get when the kids are going to the store and they just want to give you a pound, or say hello, or hey, I got a game. And I've seen your name on a list of you supporting and donating to. I've seen it. I know what you're doing. So don't feel like you're alone. But I want to let you know you are the difference. All right.
You're not standing up for your kids anymore. That's why they don't respect
Thank you.
Mayor, can I comment briefly? I just want to thank you for being here. I want to introduce you to one of my students who wants to be a barber, and he's inspired in part by Mr. Antoine Carey. And so we'll definitely get together. And I want to draw attention to your comments about the trades. You know, we do have these maker spaces that we're promoting in our city. We've got violin makers, furniture makers, and we need to get kids connected to that kind of entrepreneurship and skill. And we have a group that's trying to save Brayhead Woods, and they are looking to develop ways to promote a new kind of agriculture and training that people can develop too. So really, you know, your interest in gardening and such, that's a great cause to promote that, and they're trying to develop ideas for minority-owned agriculture in the state, which is really lacking, and to promote a new kind of modern trades and in a wide range of areas. So I definitely want to get connected with you. Thank you. Downtown Greens project, right. Brayhead Farms. Yeah.
Brayhead Farms, yes. Yes, yes, Hector, that's right. That's,
Madam Mayor?
Councilor Graham?
Thank you. And also to address another one of your very good points, ma'am, the sidewalks and the bike trails. Everyone sitting around here has gotten tired of me talking about it, because that's a cause near and dear to my heart. So please, afterwards, if you have some very specific ideas of certain roads or certain neighborhoods aspects, please come talk to me about where you think we could do better in that, because there's definitely a lot of opportunity. So I look forward to, and this is for everyone. You know, we don't have all the ideas, as Councilor Devine had said before. We don't have all the ideas. We don't have all the answers. And so if you have ideas, things that you see in your day-to-day life, contact us. Let us know. And you know, I would love to talk to anybody who has an idea that they think would help make this a better city. So thank you all so much for being here and for your ideas.
Thank you very much. Do we have another? Yes, Reverend Henderson.
Good evening. I just want to speak to one point in your priority, and wondering if you have thought about possibility of providing me some employment, allowing every city to provide some jobs and a partnership with federal grants, private partnerships, etc. This has been talked about years ago. Both the hand has a small program for that. We did something back in the day, but I think it would be appropriate, prudent to look into how we can create this workforce opportunity for young people at early age, provide some employment opportunities, that federal grants, etc. I would suggest that the city look at one of those as maybe opportunities.
Thank you, that's excellent. And don't we have an internship program at the high school?
We do. We do have, we're building internship programs in the schools. Some of them are paid. And we also have a program for getting students ready for the workforce who are not getting a standard diploma. And so there's a program designed for that too. And so there is a great emphasis not only in the city partnering with UMW and Germanna to develop workforce development, but also within the schools to advance CTE programs too, to increase those programs and try to partner up with community businesses to get kids placed and get kids experiencing the demands of work so that they're ready to work when they graduate. Let's talk more. It's great. We're mainly talking about 11th and 12th graders getting internships, but we can start lower. Yeah. Love it.
Thank you. Yes.
Come over here. I should take the mask off to project the. So forgive me, I'm kind of ADHD and not the best public speaker, and I'm just going off the top of my head. But kind of inspired by you guys to kind of speak up. And I think a lot of us are feeling a shift in society. A lot of things are changing. A lot of people are waking up to how things have been done, how we're doing things, how we should do things. Hopefully, in theory, the good proposal that I'm impressed by, hopefully in theory, in 20 years, helps create a close-knit society that leads to less violence in places like Bragg Hill. Because I think a lot of us feel very disconnected. I feel like I grew up in almost like a business, like I'm a consumer. I'm disconnected from elders. I'm disconnected from village life. I feel like there's, my Walmart. There's, what am I going to spend money on? What am I going to work away for at a job? I feel like we all miss that village experience, being a part of a tribe, and I think a lot of us feel anxious and depressed and disconnected. And I came here just to kind of learn about some things, learn about how the city works, and coming from a very survivalist mindset, right now I'm working with kids in the woods. I'm a contractor for another program from up north called Natural Leaders, and we do take kids as old as 7 and up to 17. And we go out in the woods and we learn about plants, animals, we play games, leadership, character development, and survival, how to survive in the apocalypse, how to survive if there's no more food at the grocery store shelf. How can you take care of yourself, your village, your family? Not even a knife, not even a rope. How do you make a rope? How do you make a knife out of stone? How do you keep yourself fed with nothing but the wilderness? And for your barbershop, a really good resource, very close to the river, and a system of 4 trails. And I'm kind of learning more about the city, and because I'm looking to grow programs kind of like what you're talking about, potentially with grants to let underserved communities participate, because right now the cost of the program is pretty high. Like, parents have to pay $60 every week for their kids to come once a week for a 6-hour program. And that's pretty high. I couldn't, if I had 2 or 3 kids, I wouldn't be able to participate in that program. But I'm thinking about that stuff, and we got to keep creating circles of real community. I'm trying to think about how we can keep doing that. And I think I came here thinking maybe you guys would talk about like nothing and ignore all these issues, but it's a pretty good proposal. But they said, it's words, but we got to keep all. Well, for you, it's actually a lot of action too, because I know you guys are busy doing the action. But yeah, so thank you guys, and thank you. We got to keep finding ways to make circles of connection and not be disconnected. And I wouldn't mind connecting with you one day. I'm looking for ways to have more programs like that where, and your idea was good too, like a secret society at night, doing something where they can brag about that touch their hearts like that, getting them into doing something positive that's also cool, because kids are incredibly sarcastic. It's not cool and hard to get them. So, like I said, I was ADHD. I don't know where else I was going, but that's about it. Well, and with the downtown greens and with when we have a society where you don't need to own a car, pay car maintenance, and own a car and insurance, and the danger of driving at 60 miles per hour, when we live in a society where you can have a job, go to school, and go get your groceries without car ownership being a necessity, I think that's one step closer to, I don't believe in utopia, but that's one step closer to utopia.
Mhm.
So, yeah, when we build the bike lanes, maybe if we can get them extra wide, because I'm thinking one day we'll have like futuristic like little golf carts going down there too once the cars, how many taking each of those? That's all I got before I start going on tangents. But if anybody wants to exchange emails, you know, I've got my mind on all those things too. I'm still learning. But thank you.
Thank you. Well, again, Reverend Henderson, first of all, thank you so much for hosting us tonight. This great facility. Yes.
Want to say, I'm a downtown business owner, and I moved here homeless and made my way through the system, thankfully, to the Farmer Treatment Center. And I've seen, like, I've paid a lot of attention to what the city's done, and you guys are doing an amazing job. And I know you have a really tough time dealing with all the things that are coming at you all the time. But I know that the homeless situation that we all are dealing with downtown, the unsheltered homeless situation that is facing us, and it's become more prevalent because of the pandemic. Because we took everybody that was on the streets and we put them in hotels. We didn't give them houses yet. So they're still homeless, and we still have all those people in the hotels, and we have more people that we're seeing downtown. And I know that that Mr. Baruti is champion for the summit that's coming up, and I really hope that you guys are reaching out to the other localities and to your counterparts in these other localities and inviting them to these conversations. Because I don't know, I mean, it does take a village and a community, but we're part of a larger community, which is the planning district, and that includes Spotsylvania and includes Stafford, and those are our partners when it comes to dealing with transportation, when it comes to dealing with crime, and things. It's not just in Black Hill, it's all over. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for the work that you guys do. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your work on the COC and helping us with the unsheltered homeless problem. I think that's everybody. Again, thank you for being here. Appreciate the staff, appreciate the council. We will have a gathering at Dorothy Hart Saturday, 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. We are having a summit on homelessness and ways to find more permanent solutions, housing for homeless, and that is going to occur on September 29th. It is primarily to educate our elected officials, the people who make the decisions, but most of all, thank you all so much for being here.